Hey everyone, welcome back to Realpolitik. Today we're going to be talking about the latest developments in Ukraine for June the 8th, 2023. But before we start, make sure to like and subscribe, help the channel grow, and let's get right into it. So for the last couple of days, the Ukrainians have been launching wave after wave of armored columns towards Russian positions, specifically the Vermivka tactical bridgehead, and today they've been concentrating right around the settlement of Orikhiv and then further to the west, in between the settlements of Stepove and Lobkove. And honestly, the last couple of days, what can I say? Things have not been going according to plan. At first, some Ukrainian pundits were saying, well, this is just reconnaissance and combat. They're just trying to figure out where the Russians are, where their positions are, how strong they are, whatnot. But that can't be true because this is the fourth day and it's the same story. The Ukrainians, uh, they launch their offensive, they make some initial success, but then, the Russian artillery hits them, the mines, they go over mines, ATGMs, snipers, whatnot, and then the Russians counterattack and just sweep them aside. And the Ukrainians have sustained significant losses. It's just obvious from all the footage. Let's take a look at some of that footage now. I showed you guys this yesterday, but let's take a look at it again. You can see smoke billowing at the top of the screen. They're going to zoom in. The drone zooms in. A bunch of Ukrainian destroyed armor. They're trying to move forward. And then one of them gets blown to pieces, and then the other one tries to move away, probably thinking about um, retreating, and then he gets blown up. So, anyways, I showed you guys this yesterday. Let's look at some new footage. This is near Kherson. I think this was from before the flooding, but it's a machine plant, the Berislav machine plant. Allegedly, there were Ukrainian soldiers holed up in there, staying. There was a concentration of Ukrainian troops, and the Russians basically destroyed it. So there's that. Now, yesterday there was footage from Slovakia of CV-90 armored personnel carriers, infantry fighting vehicles being sent to Ukraine, and today we see Leopard 2s being sent to Ukraine. And by the way, today we've seen the first footage of what appears to be Leopard 2s engaging in combat and destroyed. I'll show you that in a second. Anyways, so yeah, these are Leopard 2s heading to Ukraine from Slovakia. Anyways, an Iris-T air defense system was destroyed. And keep in mind, what you're going to see destroyed is just the radar. It's the radar, and it's worth around, I've heard, $17 million. The Lancet drone that destroys it's $20,000. So anyways, there's a hit, and then you can see these guys on the right retreating. Anyways, if we look at that again, it's interesting because from the start you see this, oops, and this is one of the batteries where the missiles are launched from, right? And then it zooms out, but it wants to focus on what? It wants to focus on the radar, which is more expensive. And you know what's interesting? There's a guy sunbathing on the truck right here. Look carefully. Yeah. And then these guys are is taking off. They're like, fuck this shit. Fuck. Forget about this. Anyways, in Bakhmut, the Ukrainians launched a bunch of offensives, and again, it was a failure. Things are really not going well for the Ukrainians, and 2 days ago, there was footage from Bakhmut of a Ukrainian medic tending to some Ukrainian troops that had been injured, I think, in an artillery strike. And it was just, I can't show it on YouTube, but the guys are begging to be killed. Like the guys that are injured, they're basically begging the medic to kill them because they're in so much pain. And yeah, I mean, war is no laughing matter. But yeah, I mean, it's the same story over and over. The Ukrainians, see, the Russians have so much of an advantage in firepower. And last year, when the Ukrainians launched their offensive, the Russians didn't have the manpower. They had a manpower deficiency issue at one point because the Ukrainians mobilized from the start. The Russians didn't mobilize till afterwards. But now the Russians have all the manpower they need. The Ukrainians do not have a massive numerical advantage. So what ends up and the Russians are more organized now, it seems. And what ends up happening is that Ukrainians don't have air cover. And when they try to move forward, they just, if the mines don't get them, if the ATGMs don't get them, the artillery, and then the airstrikes come in with the helicopters. And I'll show you some helicopter footage soon, but you can see all the destroyed equipment here. I mean, and there's some Ukrainian soldiers just lying down. I don't know if these guys are dead or what the heck is going on, but it just doesn't look good, right? I mean, and yeah, the Ukrainians, it seems they're able to make some headway. Um, at various points, they even are able to, go into settlements, but they can't hold on to the settlements because the Russian artillery just, the airstrike, it's just too much. It's just too much for them, right? So, anyways, let's look at some more footage. This is from the Belgorod region. We see an abandoned tank. And of course, there's Ukrainian-backed Russian separatists. They call themselves Russian separatists who have been attacking Belgorod, launching incursions into Belgorod. The shelling into Belgorod, especially the town of Shebekino, has been very, very intense. But anyways, all of those incursions have also basically failed. Now let's look at this footage of a KA-52 Alligator attack, Russian attack helicopter destroying Ukrainian units in
Давай,
Zaporizhzhia.
по левой, потом сразу в этом заходе. Давай. Оп.
Just again and again.
Давай.
And with the advanced optics, these guys don't even see what's coming, right? They don't see it, right? Anyways, this map is by Rybar. It just shows you basically all the offensives near those settlements I mentioned, Lobkove, Stepove, all those ones I mentioned, and you see they make some headway, but then the Russians just take it back, and then all of these arrows have an X on them because in the end they fail. All these offensives failed. And it cannot be reconnaissance in combat because this is the fourth day and the number of losses. They've lost dozens and dozens of armored personnel carriers and tanks. So it just can't be right. They're trying to take territory, but they can't. Anyways, this is Kherson. And in Kherson, when the Kakhovka Dam was flooded, you could see the Russians control the area south of the Dnieper River, the Ukrainians the north. You can see the south is most negatively affected by flooding. Another thing I should mention is that the Kakhovka Dam was supplying a lot of Russian settlements, Russian-controlled settlements, with electricity, right? Right here, sorry. like Nova Kakhovka, right? This dam was providing this town with all of its electricity. Now the Russians are going to have to um, find another way to supply these settlements with electricity. But for now, they're flooded, but the Russians are going to have to deal with that as well. And then because of the flooding, because of the dam destroyed, Crimea is not going to have access to fresh water. So the Russians are going to have to divert electricity and water towards Crimea and Kherson region. And then, of course, there is the Zaporizhia nuclear power plant, the largest in Europe. And the reactors, they need water for the cooling system. And now the water here has been depleted because it's heading southwards, right, downstream. So the water here is depleted and this area is flooded. And, honestly, people that are saying that Russia destroyed its own bridge, Putin's pride and joy, Russians destroyed their own pipeline, the Nord Stream pipeline, they destroyed their own dam. Um, I personally don't buy it. In the mainstream media, that's what they promote, but I just doesn't make sense to me logically why anyone would do something to take a loss. Like, I don't know. Some people they'll say, well, Putin's evil, but come on, man, the guy's not a caricature. Like, he's not some guy drinking blood and wearing a cape. Like, it's just not, like, that's not the real world, right? He's not going to keep doing things that are going to cost him more than his enemy when he's engaged in his country's engaged in a war, right? Um, Anyways, yeah, today the some of the Kraken units abandoned their positions. The Russians took over their positions, and some of the Russians they were able to capture these trophies. They call them. They're referring to these as trophies. These are basically they're called Black Hornets. They're little drones, and this is what they look like. Pretty cool, right? I mean, they can only go like a distance of around 2 kilometers, um, 1.2 miles approximately, 25-minute flight time. But night vision built-in GPS, pretty cool. But yeah, the Russians they captured some of that. So more footage of Ukrainian armor abandoned in Zaporizhia. I counted it. It's something around 9. Notice all the potholes. But yeah, look at all that abandoned armor near Zaporizhia. Wow. Yeah, the Ukrainians are not having a good time. Luhansk, I should mention, might as well. The Ukrainians again launched Shadow Storm missiles at the city of Luhansk. This is pretty typical. They've been doing this lately, and they've been attacking various settlements in Zaporizhia. That's picked up, and Mariupol, Berdyansk. Today, Tokmak. They targeted Russian positions. And anyways, in Luhansk, this is what it looks like. So it was a successful strike. Today, the Ukrainians also they targeted a Russian tank repair plant with missiles, and I think that was successful as well. Caused some damage, but anyways, keep that in mind. The war always goes two ways. But anyways, this is supposed to be footage of the first Leopard 2s, right? And a few days ago, AMX 10s were mistaken for Leopard 2s, the French AMX 10s, wheel tanks, but I think these might be Leopard 2 A4s for real, and I'll tell you in a second why. But anyways, you see all this column um, gets scrunched up right here, um, and then they got destroyed. So, but anyways, why do I think these are Leopard 2s? Well, look at this one and this one, right? And then did a lot of browsing to try to figure this out, but look at here, look at this one. See this one right here? Right? Look at it and then look at the shape of this. Right? Looks pretty similar, right? Pretty similar, but keep in mind, this picture on the right, the turret is facing the back of the tank, right? This turret's facing the front. But I mean, it looks pretty much like this is a Leopard 2A4. So I'm pretty sure that's correct. And let's look at this. I mean, just the shape of it doesn't match any other tanks that Ukraine should have in inventory. So yeah, I think this is the Leopard 2A4. And in other news, it seems that Wagner is deploying to they're deploying to the Belgorod region, and they might be launching some attacks towards Kharkiv or the border region. Anyways, guys, that's it for today. If you watched till the end, thank you very much. Please like and subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next one.